Have you ever felt your heart tighten just because a message went unanswered? Or felt overwhelming guilt for breaking a small item in your own home? We often call this perfectionism, but it might be the silent alarm of a smoke detector in your brain that simply refuses to ever turn off. Today we aren't talking about success. We are talking about the heavy price of having to be good just to feel a basic sense of safety, for many. Being a good child was not a personality trait, but a survival strategy developed to navigate an unpredictable and often overwhelming family environment. This invisible trauma shapes every interaction, turning every social cue into a high-stakes test where failure feels like a threat to your very existence. Your brain is stuck in a loop, constantly scanning for danger even when you are safe, exhausted by a battle that ended many long years ago. Let us dive deep into the fawn response and understand why your pursuit of perfection is actually a cry for help from a wounded inner child. It is time to look behind the curtain of achievement and face the scars that have been hidden under the guise of being the perfect student. In psychology, beyond the well-known fight or flight, there is a fourth reaction. It is called the fawn response, or the instinct of total submission. For a child growing up in instability, being good is a survival tactic. You learn to read emotions before you even learn the basic alphabet. You became a master of observation, adjusting your behavior to match the emotional weather of the adults around you to avoid any potential conflict or pain. Your response is not a defect, it is a survival memory. You became an expert at scanning faces, sacrificing your own needs for a moment of peace. You turned yourself into whatever version of a person they wanted to see, trading your authentic self for the fragile promise of temporary emotional safety. This hypervigilance is exhausting. It feels like you are always on stage, performing a role where one wrong line could lead to total social rejection. Every movement is calculated. Every word is filtered. You have lived your life walking on eggshells, wondering when the ground will finally break beneath you. You took on the burden of emotional regulation for the adults in your life, thinking that if you were perfect, they would finally be happy. But the cost of this piece was your identity. You became so good at being what they wanted that you forgot who you actually were. Silence became your shield, obedience became your armor. You thought that by disappearing into their expectations, you could finally be safe from harm. Yet no matter how good you were, the underlying instability remained. You were trying to fix a storm with a smile, an impossible, heartbreaking task. Now as an adult, this instinct persists. You say yes when you mean no, fearing that a boundary will cost you the love you crave. The fawn response turns every relationship into a transaction of service. You believe you must earn your right to exist by being useful to others. It is a heavy way to live, carrying the weight of the world's expectations while your own heart slowly withers away in the dark shadows. We must understand the biology behind this exhaustion to truly begin the journey of reclaiming our voices and our right to be ourselves. Why do you feel so tired even after a simple day at the office? Neuroscience shows your prefrontal cortex is working overtime to predict social risks. Your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, is hyperactive. It treats a slightly critical email the same way it would treat a physical predator nearby. This constant scanning for social cues is a massive drain on your energy. You are monitoring everyone's micro-expressions while trying to manage your own. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stays at high levels in your body. You fear that any small mistake will lead to total abandonment or social death. Your success is often a shield, not a source of joy. You work hard to be indispensable because you feel unsafe simply being a human. The faster you run towards perfection, the safer you feel from the pain of being judged. But a life lived in escape is no life. This neurological state is called hyperarousal. You are always on, always ready, always scanning for the next threat to your perceived social status, even in rest. Your mind is rehearsing conversations and analyzing past interactions, searching for errors that might make you appear less than perfect to others. Self-monitoring becomes a full-time job. You are the performer, the director, and the harshest critic of your own life, all at the same time. The mental load is astronomical. No wonder you feel like you're drowning in a sea of shoulds and musts that never seem to end. Your body is paying the price for your brain's vigilance. Muscle tension, digestive issues, and chronic fatigue are the physical costs of being too good. You are processing a massive amount of emotional data every second, trying to solve the unsolvable puzzle of how to make everyone like you. This cognitive load leaves very little room for creativity, spontaneity, or actual happiness. You are too busy surviving to ever truly start living. Understanding this is the first step toward mercy. You aren't lazy or weak. Your brain is just exhausted from decades of being your own protector. By acknowledging the biological toll, we can begin to find ways to soothe the alarm and tell our brains that the danger has passed. We use excellence as a mask to cover the feeling of never being enough. Our achievements become a wall between us and the fear of rejection. Shame is like a memory dressed in new clothes. It hides behind perfectionism and dedication, making you believe that your worth is only in what you do. For many, success feels like a burden. Every new accolade is just another standard you must maintain to keep the secret of your brokenness hidden. Spending money on yourself can feel like bleeding. Every cent feels like it should have gone to someone else or been saved for a disaster. This deep shame makes you feel like an imposter. You fear that if people saw the real you, they would turn away in total disgust. You are a masterpiece of self-concealment. You have built a life that looks enviable from the outside, but feels like a prison on the inside. The higher you climb, the further you feel from everyone else. Your success has become a barrier to the very connection you are searching for. You have traded your blood and sweat for approval, only to find that the applause of others can never fill the hole in your soul. The good child narrative is a heavy coat you were forced to wear. It was supposed to protect you, but now it only restricts your movement. You carry the memories of the times you weren't good enough, and you use them as fuel to drive yourself to the point of total collapse. Even in moments of celebration, the shame whispers that you don't belong here. It tells you that you are just a mistake waiting to be found. You are trying to repair a sense of self that was broken before you even had a chance to grow. It is a painful, delicate process. The wall of achievement is high, but it is cold. It offers safety from criticism, but it also blocks out the warmth of genuine human love. You have learned to turn your pain into something beautiful for others to see, while you suffer in silence behind your perfect, polished exterior. Your inner child is locked away in a cellar of shoulds, waiting for the day you finally tell them they are allowed to be messy. The shame says you are a burden. The truth is, you were a child who was given a burden far too heavy for any person to carry. Your armor of perfectionism makes it hard to be gentle with yourself. You treat your own mistakes with the same harshness you once feared from others. You are exhausted from building monuments to a self that isn't real. It is time to stop building and start simply existing in the space. The journey from shame to self-acceptance is long, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom from the sentence of perfection. Healing is not about becoming even more perfect. It is about learning to accept your imperfections as the very things that make you human. Start by admitting the truth to yourself. I do not need to be exceptional to be worthy of love. You deserve to exist simply because you are. Lowering your shield is a terrifying process. It feels like exposing your heart to a world that has already hurt you so many times before. But this vulnerability is where true connection begins. It is how you finally feel the warmth of life instead of just the cold safety of a wall. Learn the art of doing nothing without feeling guilty. Your value is not a result of your productivity. Your value is inherent and unchanging. Speak to your inner child. Tell them they are safe now. Tell them they no longer have to perform to keep the world from falling apart. Growth is slow and messy. Allow yourself the grace to fail, to make mistakes, and to be not okay without the fear of being abandoned. When you stop performing, you discover who actually loves you rather than the version of you that serves their needs. That is true friendship. You are reclaiming the parts of yourself you threw away to survive. Every piece of your authentic self is a treasure you are finding again. The sentence of the good child is being overturned. You are finally free to be the person you were always meant to be before the world interfered. Step into the light of your own life. The journey of healing is yours to take at your own pace with your own beautiful, imperfect heart. The sentence of the good child may have followed you for half your life, but today you have the power to sign your own pardon. Please share your story in the comments. Not to compare pain, but to realize that we are all walking this path together, seeking our true selves. You are not alone in your struggle. Thousands of good children are waking up and choosing to be real instead of perfect every single day. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for having the courage to face your scars and listen to the truth of your own experience. Remember that your worth is not a performance, it is a birthright. Go forward with kindness for yourself and the child you once were. Take a deep breath. The world doesn't need your perfection, it needs your presence. It needs the real you in all your messy, beautiful glory. Goodbye for now, and remember to keep being kind to your heart. We will see you in the next journey towards healing and self-discovery.